that are always around no matter which president comes and goes. So, Dr. Paul, please talk about what is known as the deep state.
Yes, and it's been around. I think it's been traditional probably for centuries, if not longer. There's always somebody behind the scenes manipulating government. But most people in this country, up until just recently, didn't dream that they could be very powerful in this country. But more so than ever, the people are becoming more skeptical about trusting the government, believing in the government. There was a time when it was almost treasonous to suggest that the assassination of Kennedy was some type of a conspiracy more than just one disgruntled individual that did it. Now 80% of the American people basically don't believe the commission. Same way with 9/11 commission. Just recently we finally got those 28 pages released trying to find out the truth. So governments don't tell us the truth, but who runs things? Well, the president runs things, I say, yes, in some way, but he's more or less, if he's successful in getting in office and successful in staying in office, he usually has to be very accommodating to the deep state. And the deep state is not a total monolith, but they do know how to talk to each other and coordinate things. But it's made up of various groups of people, like the military-industrial complex is a major issue. We just talked a little bit about the Federal Reserve. Financial industries and banking and the Federal Reserve, that is a big issue and control. And they can dictate, and they usually get to pick their candidate for president. It's more confusing now because some people are arguing the case that Trump is not part of that and he won't have any part of it. Well, there's some hints of that. There's hope that is true, but I'm a bit cynical about what's happened in the last 50 years or so, that I've heard good promises by a lot of them, but it ends up that there's a cooperation with the establishment. Take, for instance, where Trump has some good things to say about foreign policy and say, boy, I hope this is true. He wants to massively increase our withering away military. We have to do this. Well, I don't buy into that. We don't need all this money to defend ourselves. Who's going to invade us? And just the other day we had talked about ISIS from a real expert, and he says ISIS actually turns out to be a paper tiger. So yes, there's concerns about it, but changing our foreign policy would take care of this. But nevertheless, the deep state is out there. The media is involved in that. That's why, all the stations preach interventionist foreign policy. They preach war, and they're not ever holding the feet to the fire of the presidents who go to war without a declaration. So it is constant. But once again, the failure of the current system and the end of an era of internationalism, international meddling in other affairs, the entangling alliances, the end of the era of central banking, the fiat economic system, it's all coming to the end. The American people know this campaign that's going on. People know there's something rotten in Washington, and they're trying to do something about it. And they're so frustrated because they're seeing the end stages of what did this democracy, what did all this intervention create? It created this chaos, a bankrupt nation, bankrupt in a moral sense, and a monetary system that's not working very, very well, and a cultural Marxism that's marching on, and people are very frustrated. The frustration is very good, and like I just mentioned, I think it's delightful that we have somebody telling us a little bit about what's going on behind the scenes. And there's so much out there because of the work that WikiLeaks has done that it'll take a while for it to be digested. I imagine it will have some influence on the election, but the most influence will be over time. People will be reading this and realizing how much dirty dealing has been going on and how much deception has been going on and how much pretense these elections have been. So in this way, I think it's looking good that the deep state is becoming known. And they're not elected, obviously. And just since they've had so much to say about election, that's why things seem to never change. You know, the foreign policies have changed, the economic policies have changed. There's nobody challenging the debt. There's nobody challenging the Federal Reserve monetizing debt. They've never challenged, you know, the very, not to a large degree, the very existence of the Federal Reserve. But that is all coming, and the people are waking up. And so I am just hoping, as this chaos develops, that the message of liberty and the message of free markets is developed and prevalent enough that the American people will know exactly what they want and expect from their politicians.